And hello, everybody. I'm Caleb Bouchy, and this is AZ Sports Box Live here on Blaze Radio, coming to you from the Bill Austin Radio Studio in downtown Phoenix, Arizona. Being joined here by Henry Steiner, Nicole Pinter, and back from a long time vacation, Parker Gray. Guys, what's been going on? We've got 5 weeks until summer break officially concludes. How's everyone been doing? And how are you guys reacting to the sports?
Well, I'm a sad bear this morning, quite literally, because Robbie Gould will no longer be traded to the Chicago Bears because of that whole franchise tag thing, whatever. But oh my God, we still have like 2 kickers on the roster, I think, one from the AAF. But yeah,
Hoku.
I forget his name. I think he played for the Birmingham Iron, but Elliot Fry, that's who it is. So Chicago Bears are still down a kicker. Roger Federer lost the Wimbledon championship. I'm a little bit sad, but it's okay. I'm here.
I mean, the Ravens don't have to care about a kicker. It's like the best thing about being a Ravens fan. Never have to worry about special teams. Never have to worry about, kickers. We're great.
You literally have like the best kicker alive. Get out of here.
I mean, I know, and he sings opera beautifully.
I love Justin Tucker.
Caleb's looking like, who?
Gosh, well, we have a lot to talk about. And Henry, why don't you start us off with our first topic of the show?
All right. Well, everyone, our first topic of the show, the Arizona Rattlers were upset by Sioux Falls in the United Bowl, 56-53. Caleb, I saw you were tweeting. There's a bunch of apparently missed calls and ref blunders that you saw. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but Caleb, what did you see there?
Gosh, I mean, it was just such a tough game to watch, especially, I don't know if you guys saw, but the crowd was just amazing. This is the Rattlers' just second game playing in Glendale at Gila River Arena where the Coyotes play. And for a team that has had really no history there and packing the place like that, they literally just made it feel just like they were playing in downtown Phoenix. But
For those who don't know, the Rattlers normally play in Talking Stick. So this was the IFL, which is the new indoor football league. It was a championship game. The Arizona Rattlers came in to the game undefeated. I think they were 14-0, and they played the Sioux Falls team, which was, I think, the Cyclones, which were Storm, which were 13-1. So whoever has the best record tends to get the home field advantage for this game. This is the 4th time, I think, out of 5 that the Arizona Rattlers have lost the championship game in their home field.
Yeah, 4-1 in championship games at home. And this, out of all the 4 games, this wasn't the worst. The top 2 were for sure, like I said, 2004 and 2011, when they lost on the last play of the game. But this was really extraordinary tough. I mean, those teams that beat Arizona, Philly, San Jose, and Jacksonville in the years past, they all won fair and square. A lot of people have real doubts that Sioux Falls won this game fair and square. There was a lot of controversial calls. And Nicole saw this before we started recording. One of the last penalties near the end of the game, Arizona was hoping to get the fumble off of a kick return. And it turns out they were offsides before they kicked the ball, which is just ridiculous. I didn't think he was offsides, but obviously I'm sure people would disagree if you're Sioux Falls. But yeah, there's just so many controversial calls. Every time they got a stop on defense, it seemed like the referees would say they were offsides. It was just a mess. But yeah, what you guys think? I mean, we've seen bad calls like this before. I mean, NFC Championship was not too long ago, but to have multiple bad calls like this, it's just unacceptable. And it just, knowing the IFL, it'll probably just get swept under the rug.
I mean, looking at the onside kick, I thought, because the ball, his foot has to be past the ball before it's kicked, right? Because I thought the guy on top, yeah, because I thought the guy on the top of the screen was like maybe a half a yard offside, half a yard to a yard offside. And then there was another call, I believe, in the 3rd quarter. That was just under 6 minutes to go, 4th and 5. That this one I totally agree with. I think was a missed pass interference call that would have been huge because it would have been most likely first and goal on the 1. Probably not a touchdown,
Oh,
but
mm-hmm.
he had – because originally I thought it was when he jumped over, and I thought that was a fair play, but he had his arm wrapped around him like from the get-go. That was a clear pass interference miss. That's a call I have more problem with. Another pass interference call that I have more problem with more than the offsides on the onside kick. But also when you're playing, I mean, just in football or any game in general, you shouldn't have to beat the refs, but at the same time, you shouldn't be in that situation in the first place. But it's what they always say. So
yeah, I know. What was it, Kevin Guy? Usually, because this isn't the first time the Rattlers have gotten screwed on a bad call, especially on a game-determining situation for the championship or in the playoffs. But what was it, 2010, and they were playing Spokane on the road in a regular season game. There were so many bad calls. And Spokane had a controversial season with using the refs against them because at the time, the AFL refs were mainly from the hometown of where the home game was being played. So that's a little controversial.
Reminds me of a time Michigan played Ohio State, and there was a missed 4th and 1 call when the refs were from Ohio, huh?
Well, I mean,
you're giving me flashbacks.
But like, it's just ridiculous. And then I think what was it? Worst call other than this one against the outside the United Bowl. Worst call I've ever seen was, I think it was 2015 in the conference championship. The Rattlers were playing San Jose on the road. And what is it? San Jose, I think it's like 3rd or 4th down. They're in the red zone with like seconds remaining in the game. And they need to score a touchdown if they want to take the lead. Or it was tied or something like that. Or the Rattlers had the lead. Who knows? But they throw a pass in the corner of the end zone near it, like 1 yard line, and they fumble the ball before the ball reaches the goal line. They review the play, and Arizona recovered the ball from the fumble, but they reviewed the play. They called it a touchdown, even though everyone knew, looking at the instant replay, that the ball never went past the goal line. And it's just, gosh, the Rattlers have gotten screwed so many times over the past few seasons. It's just, but this one really hurts. I can tell a lot of Rattlers fans are still pretty upset because they know they definitely think they've been robbed.
It's something interesting that I found from one article. Was the last time that the Rattlers won a championship at home. It was 1997 against the Iowa Barnstormers. And do you guys know who the quarterback was for that team?
Kurt Warner, yeah.
Kurt Warner. And I didn't even know he had played in the Arena Football League, but that's where he started before the NFL. So that was interesting.
Yeah, Kurt Warner, the Arena Football Hall of Famer. He, when he wanted to do, go into the NFL, they weren't really willing to take him, so he got into the AFL, and that really helped him get his foot in the door at the NFL. So awesome stuff. But yeah, we're going to talk about more about Rattler stuff in our rapid fire question because it is going to be related. But yeah, moving on, our next topic, the Diamondbacks recently took on the St. Louis Cardinals. Paul Goldschmidt, despite missing out on the All-Star game this year, ended up having an impressive performance yesterday against the Diamondbacks. What was it, the final score? Who has the final score, 9-5? Or it was pretty high up there. But like, what did you guys think of not only that past game, but the past series?
I thought it was an interesting series. It was actually also more interesting because of Paul Goldschmidt and his return to Arizona and playing his old team. He was surprisingly pretty, I don't want to say ineffective, but you could kind of see how much the Diamondbacks are having a good thing with Ketel Marte. I thought Ketel Marte, you could really see how much improvement he's had over the last few years. And the Cardinals, they're a good team. Right now, obviously, a lot of people think that they're underperforming. I am one of them. But yeah, it was a really interesting series. Not necessarily dominant, or not as dominant as you would think it would be preseason, but probably like more of what you expected coming into the All-Star break. Is kind of what happened outside.
And yeah, I'm just looking at the final score. It was 2-5. And this is just the first game, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks have been like hovering around 500 most of the time, and I think that's just kind of the team they are, being 47-47. I mean, do I think they're playing up to their potential? No, but you can't win every night. And you can't expect that. But good news for them, middle of the third, the Rockies are down 12-0 to San Francisco. Where's
good
Rodier?
news? Do you just
not for you. I was saying, where's Rodier? His Giants.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, Henry.
We need to have him back. But yeah, Rodier, I'm sure
You're lucky he's not here, Henry.
Oh please, trust me, they'll end up winning the rest of the series. Not worried. Not worried at all.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next topic as we go outside the AZ Sports box. And we continue on the discussion on the topic of the sport of baseball, the MLB All-Star Game, or I guess All-Star Weekend in Cleveland, Ohio. I think Cleveland was definitely an awesome host, but I'll just make it simple. What was the most memorable moment for you guys in the All-Star Game? Was it the game itself, the home run derby? I'm sure I know the answer to Henry's question on that. What's your favorite moment from the All-Star Week?
I mean, I'll start off here. My favorite moment of the All-Star Week was me being correct with my prediction of Mets first baseman Pete Alonso bringing the city of New York joy, just as my dog brings to me, and having the Mets take home the home run derby for the first time in over a decade. So, I don't know about you, but that and Charlie Blackmon hitting a home run off of one of the best pitchers in the entire MLB. So, I mean, there's plenty of good moments to be had during the All-Star Game. Also, watching the Celebrity All-Star Game, that was pretty enjoyable. Some great cameos by lots of Cleveland superstars, none of them for any professional sports teams, except for Joe Thomas, because it's Cleveland. But, pretty fun weekend overall.
Yeah, I have to agree, Caleb. Not specifically about that portion of the home run derby, but I think my favorite part was Vlad Guerrero Jr. and Jock Peterson going back and forth for what seemed like 20 minutes of home runs. I don't even remember I think the final total was 39-40 or something like that.
I think it's 38-37 or 39-37.
Yeah, and I think they had like 2 swing offs or something to add on to the end. It was just crazy to see their endurance and how they were able to keep hitting those home runs. And that was my favorite part. It was just fun. Everybody loves a home run, and like to see them just hit home run after home run and be so competitive about it when it's really just for fun. It was just really fun to watch that.
Actually, I was reading into the stats. It's not really for fun. For 4 of the competitors, the check for winning the home run derby is more than their entire salary for the year.
Oh my!
Wow.
You guys are playing for a lot of cash.
Including Pete Alonso, Vlad Guerrero Jr. I'm trying to think who the others were. But yeah, no, they were playing for more than they would make the entire year in that one night. So I would not say it's all for fun. Maybe for a player like Jock Peterson.
That explains the competitiveness, yeah.
But you could definitely see why some of them were hitting those dingers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the MLB All-Star Game is still one of the best. Your dog, Henry. The MLB All-Star Game is easily the best All-Star game there is across all 4 major sports. I think the home run derby was the most fun I've had with a home run derby in a while. Not that last year's wasn't fun, but I mean, just the amount of home runs these guys were hitting, and like Parker said, consistently, like Vlad Guerrero Jr. was incredible. I mean, this guy can hit home runs, give him the perfect pitch. I just want to point out, though, my prediction, Chapman, I know it was a bad prediction, but his dad gave him horrible pitches.
Yes.
I just want to put that out there.
I saw it on Twitter, too. They're like, again, Chapman was, I think, one of those players where he did not need the money, so I don't think it was as big to him.
True.
But, yeah, I was watching that, and I'm like, come on, old man Chapman. That's like, can you, say that you're related to a Rollish Chapman? Like, I'm thinking of some loopholes, ways to get him to actually have some good hits. But, yeah, but you know what? That's his fault for choosing his dad. But, I mean, again, he come there to have fun. The home run derby was a lot of fun, and I think that was, like, overall just probably the most enjoyable event of any All-Star. Any All-Star event, I think it would have to be the home run derby. Would you guys agree?
Oh, yeah. And I think it's why the NFL needs to bring back, like, the quarterback skills competition and all those skills competitions they used to do but don't. Like
Now they
that's where
replace
guys will get
softball and
but like that's where guys will get competitive is, So I mean the home run derby was so much fun. I think the All-Star game was fun too, although I don't agree with Shane Bieber exactly getting the MVP, but whatever. From Cleveland, cool, fine. But
a little bit of pandering to the home crowd.
yeah, it was a good 2 days. Good 2 All-Star days, that's for sure.
All right. We are moving on into some kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel in a way. So last week, obviously, you mentioned Tyler Skaggs. He's been all over the news lately. The Angels, in their game, which they honored Tyler Skaggs, they all took part. They wore some jerseys. So there are a few things that happened. The very first pitch that captain leader Mike Trout got, absolutely smashed it out of the park. And that would prove to be all they needed because the rest of the pitchers on the night honoring their pitcher brethren, Tyler Skaggs, pitched a combined no-hitter, which was their first one in, I think, over 2 years, which, I mean, it's just incredible what they did. And I know we were talking last week about how the team would be able to rebound from it, but it seems that it brought them together. They were fighting with a passion, and this could be a different Angels team. They're like what they did, they put it all together for the first time in a while. And it was incredible because it was in honor of one of the most beloved teammates. So what do you guys think about this whole thing? The game, the pitching, just the overall environment too.
I think teams having nights like this after tragedy it's always incredible. I just want to bring up a tweet, kind of like Henry was saying, CBS Sports put out. So Tyler Skaggs' mother throws out the first pitch. Angels throw a no-hitter. Trout's home run that Henry mentioned is exactly 454 feet. Reminder, Skaggs were number 45, as all the players did that night. This is the franchise's 11th no-hitter, and that's important because Skaggs wore number 11 in high school, and they scored 7 runs in the first, 13 runs total. Skaggs' birthday is July 13th. Stretch maybe, but still, I mean,
gosh, it's
still, like it's cool. It's really cool. It's like he was there with them, and even tragedy such as this, there is light. There is some good that can come out of it.
It's crazy. It's like you can't script it any better. And
you really can't.
No, it's just amazing, just extraordinary.
And there's not much more to add other than the fact that, like, sports in general, it's so much more than just a game. And like these events like this is when people outside of sports realize that it's not just a game that you watch just for enjoyment. Like there's so much more meaning behind it. And that was just a really good night. And it's crazy that also it was just the night before his birthday too. He would have been 28. So.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have on that topic. Obviously, thoughts and prayers go out to Tyler Skaggs, his family, and any Angels fans and anyone who's been possibly mourning. Obviously, if you need help, go seek it. Again, tragedy strikes us all. But now moving into our next segment, a little bit picking it up, we are going into unrapid fire, which now might have to be a little bit more rapid. In the past, we've done unrapid fire because we didn't have to set a time limit because we didn't have really enough people where we had to worry. But, now we've got 4 people. I think, Caleb, we're going to have to put on the timer for this one.
Okay, so.
Oh, come on.
For those of you who don't know the rules or are just listening in for the first time, we'll reiterate it for you. 20 seconds to answer the question, and then an additional, if optional, of course, 15-second rebuttals if you disagree with someone or want to defend your case. So, yeah, someone called you out. So, with that, let's get into question 1. And keep in mind, I am going to play, what is it? Let's see if I can find it here. I will be timing you. So, yeah, yep, I found it. So you will hear an air horn once your time is up. So just be aware. So, Nicole, first question. Well, you started off.
All right. Well, the first question comes from in light of the Arizona Rattlers United Bowl against Sioux Falls. Which sports game across any sports league in history has the worst calls by refs? And according to Caleb, we cannot use the 2019 NFC Championship game. albeit that is only one call, so fair.
And
But
it's recent too, so
yeah, which game overall
I'm
has
gonna
some of the worst calls?
I'm gonna start with this. Again, it's sort of only one call, but it's like a huge call. You guys might have heard of the 5th down game between Colorado and Michigan back in 1990. So pretty much.
No, that was Mizzou.
Oh, Mizzou. My bad. Missouri and Colorado. So Colorado, they have the ball, and they're down within the 10-yard line, and they spike the ball because the clock is running down. And I think that the spike rule had just recently been implemented into college football, so the refs didn't really totally understand how it worked. So they spike the ball, but they don't count it as a play in the downs. So it gets down to 4th down eventually, and they're like right on the 1-yard line, and they run it in for a touchdown and win the game. And it was a 5th extra down that they won the game on. And it's gone down in history as one of the worst calls pretty much in sports history.
Yeah, that's obviously a really good one.
Yeah.
I was thinking of others. If I had to choose another football one, the tuck rule game obviously is one that comes to mind, but that's another one that's kind of based off of one play. So I'm going to go based off of almost an entire series, not necessarily the worst game, but I believe it was the Lakers versus the Jazz is what I believe it was. Or was this, I think it was the Jazz. It's widely regarded as one of the worst called series in all time. And the refs have openly admitted that they were getting paid to throw the game. So I feel like that's enough to kind of say it was the worst ref game in all time. There are a bunch of missed calls. I think it was game 6 or it was game 5. Just absolutely horrendous. I think there were over like 26 free throws recorded in the 4th quarter awarded to the team that obviously the refs were paid to support. This has only been one ref that's come out and said that, but everyone watching that game, like it was just, and it was in the Western Conference. I mean, it was in, I think it was in the Western Conference Finals, or it was just absolutely. What do you guys think of that?
That sounds pretty bad, especially if it's on purpose. Yeah,
for sure.
Here, let me try and look at the exact. Let me try and look at the exact day.
Caleb, while Henry looks it up, what do you got?
Okay, this one's pretty classic, and you guys probably haven't heard of this in a while, but it was definitely, it's gone viral a few times, looking back on it now. But I'm going to say December 2001 NFL game, Cleveland versus Jacksonville, or it's Jacksonville at Cleveland, and it was famously known as Battle Game. So the referees broke a rule by, so once a play goes on, you cannot review the previous play. And unfortunately, it happened to ASU against San Diego State this past season with the targeting thing. We know how that ended. But yeah, so what was it? They were reviewing to see if it's an incomplete pass. You cannot, however, once that play is already done, like they're on to the next play, you cannot review it. Well, apparently the referees just broke the rules. So they called it an incomplete pass. Fans got so mad that they threw basically beer bottles, I guess, is what they were mainly throwing, which is a huge, dangerous situation. A lot of players could have gotten injured. Luckily, no one got hurt. And it was so bad that they called the game with like 50 seconds remaining. That's how bad it was. And then I think the NFL forced them to replay the rest of the game an hour later. But like, yeah, I think definitely it's one, and we still see this, especially with college football this past season, that you should not review a play after like it's already been layered down, like after a new play has already started. So like you shouldn't be able to do that. So I mean, do you guys disagree with that though?
I don't have a rebuttal for that.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree either. I mean, once a play goes on, then like if you're able to get it off, like that's why strategy in football is so important. Is once you're able, I can't find words. If you're able to get that play off, then technically you can't go back like 2 plays. And I think the NFL, maybe it was college football, there was some problem with this. I feel like just as recently as this year too, but I can't put my finger on it at the moment. But yeah, I got no rebuttal.
I have more to add on. I looked it up. I was actually wrong. It was the 2002 conference finals. I was against the Kings, which I should have remembered. But yeah, I was right about the facts. It was LA shot 27 free throws to Sacramento's 9 in the fourth. And the referee was Tim Donaghy, widely regarded as one of the worst referees in NBA history. And yeah, he admitted that the NBA routinely encouraged referees to bring up bogus fouls to manipulate results, but ignore calls against star players. And so this was partially for a gambling scandal which basically they asked the NBA and him to extend the Lakers to 7 games, the Lakers-Kings series. And yeah, there was some, like watching some replays of that game, some of those calls were just absolutely like bogus. Like you're looking at it and you're like, where is that even coming from? I think 3 star players of the Kings got fouled out. It was some insane, like it is still, I think, regardedly known as like one of the worst sporting blunders, throws in the entire like history of sports. It was really kind of despicable. Like watching in the replay, that would have been obviously for some players, that was the only time that the 2002 Kings really made it. Chris Webber was on that team. And really that was one of the only times that they even came close to reaching the championship.
And I also want to give out an honorable mention. I can't remember what year it was. And I don't know if it's considered, if it was a bad call now looking back on it, but was the ASU playing U of A at home in men's basketball. Unfortunately, they lost. But the calls were, Bobby Hurley was so fed up with the calls that he got ejected from the game, like kicked out of the arena. Like that's how bad it was. So, although, do you guys remember that? Like,
yeah, I was there.
You were there?
I don't think I watched that game for some reason.
That was probably 2015.
Terrible ASU student.
2015, yeah, I believe so. It was rough game. But
I'm gonna add another honorable mention. It's ASU again. So this is 2 games. Okay, so ASU versus Oregon in football. So I think it was 2015. Went to triple overtime, and there was a catch made by Oregon in the end zone, and it looked like at least 2 of his toes were on the white line, and they called it a touchdown, and the crowd was just booing and booing, and they ended up winning the game in triple overtime. And then this year we played Oregon again, and ASU was about to tie the score on a 2-point conversion, and he caught the ball, right? Frank Darby caught the ball in the back of the end zone, and so they caught the ball in the back of the end zone, and they said it was out, right? And they didn't even review it. They just decided to go on with the game, and then ASU ended up losing, I think 29-31. And afterwards, looking at that angle, it looked like he still had a little bit of space in between his foot and the white line.
Yeah,
and it was just
He was in.
I remember that game. I think I was actually in Blaze Radio doing board op for that, and you just kept watching that. I'm just looking. I'm like, I was kind of like flipping out. I was like, thank God the mic's off, because I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, again, that was really only 1 or 2 calls in that game. Yeah. But I was looking at that. That was a very clear one.
And if they had won that game, they would have ended up winning the Pac-12 South and then going to the Pac-12 championship. And there's so many what ifs at that point. But
yeah, I can definitely agree. But I think it's time to move on.
Wait, I didn't do mine yet.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
To conclude this rapid fire questions, I'm gonna first do my honorable mention. Both are Michigan. Then this one is more just they're both kind of one calls, but you can probably guess what my one is. But my honorable mention is from this year, Michigan at Penn State basketball, and the only time since I believe high school coaching for John Beilein that he's been ejected from the game. Like it's been like decades since John Beilein has ever been ejected from a basketball game from coaching. And it was, I believe, Michigan was running a screen, or Penn State was running a screen. There was a missed call there. I don't remember it exactly, but just the fact that John Beilein was ejected, it's like you don't.
I think it was a foul that was called on Michigan that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, just the fact that John Beilein was ejected sticks out in my mind because He's never ejected. But moving on to my winner is November 26, 2016, Michigan, Ohio State, overtime. 27-24 Michigan, right? And 4th and 1, fourth and like inches maybe. JT Barrett takes a QB sneak to the outside towards your screen if you're watching it on YouTube, and he jumps for it, and he doesn't make it. He is inches that much short, but he's short, and they call it the first down.
He was definitely short.
He was short. It comes out later that these refs are from Ohio. Like, I think there's only one that wasn't from Ohio. So that's why it sticks out in my mind as one of the worst ref calls ever, because the refs were from Ohio. There were plenty of other missed calls that day. I know there were a couple pass interferences called on Michigan that should not have been pass interferences. But that one sticks out in my mind because Michigan would have won that game, would have ended that terrible streak. They did earlier, but Jim Tressel nor Urban Meyer was coaching, so it counts. But this one would have counted more because Urban Meyer. So
I think there should be a rule change, especially when it comes to the referees. The referees should not be from one of the two teams' hometowns.
And there are two of them that were said to be Ohio State fans, and it's like, how were they even allowed onto the field? Blows my mind.
And I think they should change the rules from that, not just for football, but for all the sports probably. So
so sad. So sad.
All right, now we really have to move on, as I'm getting highly triggered from this conversation, getting flashbacks to my friends.
Henry, I'm getting flashbacks too. Come on.
Keep in mind, but we're on a time limit, so when you hear the buzzer, that means your time is up.
Yes. Okay, so we're moving on. Earlier this week, I think it was yesterday, the Memphis Grizzlies beat the New Orleans Pelicans in overtime to make it to the NBA Summer League semifinals. They won in the semifinals. They made it to the finals to face the Minnesota Timberwolves, who beat Brooklyn 85-77. So the NBA Summer League is coming to a close. We're in the finals. It's currently Minnesota versus Memphis. So first of all, which do you guys have in that game? And then the next question is going to be, who's your guys' Summer League MVP been? Does not necessarily have to be one of those two teams or one of those four teams from the semifinal. But yeah, first question, who do you have winning that game, Minnesota or Memphis? And second of all, who's your MVP of the Summer League?
To be honest, I haven't watched Summer League other than the one time the Bulls were on ESPN. So for MVP, I'm gonna go with Kobe White because I really liked what I saw. But as far as who wins this game, I'm gonna take Minnesota. They're 6-0. They haven't lost yet. Like I said, I haven't watched much of it, but it's on tonight, 9 Eastern. So I'll definitely watch that.
Okay, that's time's up. Parker, why don't you go next? I'll go last.
Yeah, so I was gonna go with I haven't watched much of the games. I watched the end of the Memphis and New Orleans game, and Memphis just wouldn't go down without a fight, and they ended up pulling out of that game. They survived in regulation and in overtime and won it. So I'm gonna go with Memphis because they just seem to they don't give up. And for MVP, I'm gonna go with Carson Edwards out of Purdue. Is that out of time?
Well, I think it's two different questions, so I feel like you should reset it after they finish.
Yeah, so I'll start right now. So Carson Edwards for Purdue, he's playing for the Celtics now. He's been doing really well. He's averaged 18 points a game on 52% shooting, and he's shot better than 40% from three. And it's funny because he plays with I don't remember Taco Fall.
Yeah, Taco
Fall.
He's just 6 foot, and then Taco Fall's 7'6", 7'7", and
that picture is hilarious.
Carson Edwards has taken lots of the spotlight from that.
All right, we're gonna move to a new system. That way you don't have to hurt all of your ears. We're gonna just start muting you guys as you run out of time. Caleb, I think you've had enough time with the air horn. Now it's time for you to go. Let's hope you use the same sort of ruthlessness when you time your own self.
I'll just turn it down a notch.
But Caleb, what do you think?
Gosh, I haven't watched the Summer League in a while, but if to pick though, which team I think is going to win the last game, I think it's going to be Memphis. Don't really have much detail on why, but because I haven't watched in a while. But as far as MVP, gosh, there's been so like I don't really look at the MVP as someone who's played the best because let's face it, no one's really like urging to be the best. Like you don't see the Lakers adding more championship banners because they won the summer league. Although that would be hilarious because
I'd be really excited about that, Caleb. You shouldn't touch a nerve like that.
Yes, but I don't know. I think I'm mainly looking at the players who just made their NBA debuts, and Zion Williamson definitely.
All right, Caleb, that has been enough time. And Zion Williamson has actually been out of the entire summer league.
One game?
Yeah, he played one game, got injured. So he actually has not played the summer league at all. But New Orleans was still able to make the Final Four. For my pick, I was usually going to have the Nets going.
That's fake news. But
I'm
sure
it is.
I'm sure you're right.
But
like I said, I haven't been watching the summer league, but Zion Williamson would probably destroy them all if he played. So
he destroyed his leg, which is one of the reasons he didn't play.
That's also kind of fake news because he just bruised his
No, he didn't. It was a minor bruise. He didn't want to.
He got hurt enough that they didn't want to risk anything more.
Yeah. But my pick was originally going to be the Brooklyn Nets because they had a lot of older players such as Jarrett Allen, who a lot of people thought was, he's a starter caliber player, so why would he be in the summer league? But I'm going to go with the team that beat them. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves because they beat the team that I had. So I think they're going to be the team to win the whole summer league. And now going into my MVP, I'm going to say Tyler Herro. He was the first round pick by the Miami Heat. It's a little bit of bias here, but I did not actually like the pick going into it. But he has absolutely been incredible. I think he's been averaging over 20 points and has really taken the summer league by storm. He's been one of the notables. I think he's been one of the top 6 players listed by almost a lot of the analysts on it. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Tyler Herro. Do any guys have any rebuttals, any things you want to say? Caleb, anything you want to add?
Well, I'll just change my answer since Zion Williamson isn't going to play. But how about is Jared Allen playing in the summer league?
Yes, Jared Allen is on the Nets.
That's my new pick. And I'm not going to say anything more because we got to move on. All right. Now, to our next question, and I will use the air horn on this. It just won't be an ear rape. Moving on. So, the Arizona Rattlers next season is going to be a pretty interesting one. Talking Stick Resort Arena is going to be closed down for 2 years straight because of renovations for the Phoenix Suns mainly. So, the question is, where should the Arizona Rattlers play their home games in 2020? And there's basically 2 answers to this. And it's basically quality over quantity. So quality is Gila River Arena. The arena it can definitely fit arena football because the field's the same size as a hockey rink. And it's a really nice arena. However, the problem is location. It's in the West Valley. It's in Glendale. A lot of Arizona sports fans are not in Glendale, especially the Rattlers fan base. So their attendance probably wouldn't be well. The second option is Arizona Veterans Memorial Coliseum. That's on the other side of the Phoenix area. It's where the Phoenix Suns used to play. I think they played 3 decades of basketball there, where they first started. They left there in '92. The arena's basically been a ghost town ever since 1992. Obviously, they would have to make some kind of renovations to make it like more adequate. But there's a good chance they'd have a lot better attendance because that's where most of the fan base is. Location is better. So what's it going to be? The Coliseum, Madhouse, and McDowell, or the home of the Coyotes, Gila River Arena in Glendale? So who wants to go first?
I'll take the first shot at this. I'm going to go with the Gila River. You could see, first of all, I have 2 ideas for this. First of all, you could see that the teams really showed up for this. The fans for the championship game really did show up, and something to kind of take the taste out of from the 56 to 53 loss. But my idea is I think they play it. It is the same size field. I think they should just play it on the ice. Do kind of a little bit of an in-between game. Kind of have like some football while on skates. I don't know. I'm just spitballing out here, but what do you guys think about that?
You're serious?
I have to go with the opposite. I'm going to go with the Coliseum. While the quality is not as nice, the quantity would be really. The thing that I'm thinking of is where the Raiders currently are not in Oakland, where they're playing. What's it called? It's
On the baseball diamond.
Alameda County Coliseum. It's like not a nice area at all, but it's got like a charm to it. Like it's got their own Oakland Raiders charm, and I think it would work out for the Coyotes. It'd be nice. Not Coyotes, sorry, Rattlers. I'm thinking about the ice still.
And also, I want to keep in mind that the Phoenix Mercury are currently rumored to also be moving to the Coliseum as well next season, as well as the next 2 years. Nicole, what do you think?
2 questions before you start my time. One, is talking stick not an option?
No, talking stick is not an option. It is going to be closed down during the duration of the next 2 summers. So the Rattlers or the Mercury cannot use it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Second question, Henry, were you serious about the football on the ice?
Honestly, a little bit. I think it'd be very entertaining for a game or two, but I feel like that would just absolutely mess up everything. It's a way to stand out.
Crossover.
It'd be so amusing, though. Oh my God, I'd pay to see that.
The XFL, just put everyone on skates.
Put the XFL
just put skates on the ice.
Right.
Okay. Well, moving on to my answer.
It's a quick with a knife. Like, it's just not going to work.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Location. I think going to Phoenix, going to the Coliseum in Phoenix, I think that's the most important thing. Even as nice as Gill River is, it's nice, but no one goes there. So how nice is it really? So I know I did, Henry, but I think location is really important, and I think with something like the IFL that it has its fan base still, but yeah, I think making it easy. Henry, stop it! I think making it easy to get to the games is so important for the fan base to actually come. Because, like I said, how nice is it if no one's there? So that's my answer.
And really, attendance is what keeps the team going. So I think that's what's most important. For me, I would say the Coliseum because, I mean, it is an old arena. They do have plans to at least modify or renovate it so it's adequate. But yeah, I definitely think the Coliseum fan base really is important to this team. They need the attendance. So it's not going to be the nicest arena. But hey, as long as they're going to be blasting Metallica and getting the fans pumped up, I'm totally fine with it. So
as long as there's people there.
People are crazy.
Moving on to our next topic, keeping with football. Recently, the NFL has, I can't even think of the word, confirmed that they are proposing the idea of an 18-game NFL season. This is CBA negotiations have been going on for the past week. They confirmed today that they thought of this idea. So in an 18-game season, they haven't really said anything about what would happen to the preseason. Supposedly it would go down to 2 games or just not be a preseason at all. And players could only play 16 games of that 18-game NFL season. Of course, this doesn't count the playoffs. That's fair game. So I wanted to bring up the question, is an 18-game NFL season a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, I mean, I kind of have a question back on this. If they were to get rid of the preseason, does this mean there'd be like no Hall of Fame game, like no Canton, Ohio game? That stadium would go to waste.
Nothing has been said, but most likely, I mean, there still might be that at the very least. But like I said, they haven't really said anything on preseason.
I mean, I personally think that all games in Cleveland and Canton are to waste. But
they literally built that whole stadium just to host one preseason game a year.
I've actually been in that stadium around that time, and the stadium is actually really nice. I will say that. Not as
one time the field didn't work.
My most memorable moment of it was probably Sean Chushayim actually just tearing his ACL. The kicker from the Pittsburgh Steelers in like 2013 against the Vikings, I think it was. Very bizarre moment. But yeah, I think they still would have 2 preseason games in that proposal that I saw. So I would assume that they would then have 3, including the Canton and the Hall of Fame game. And obviously, I think that's important because a lot of players need that. Coaches need that because some players will make or break. I don't know if you guys watch Hard Knocks, but that's really important for a lot of players' developments. But yeah. And then answering the question, I would think that I would be interested to see an 18-game season. along with but only based on the proposition that each player could only play in 16 games. Because that would be very interesting to see how each coaches decide which players to use in which games. Because then obviously you're out of two of your best players for two of the games. So overall, I don't think the idea could work, but it could be very interesting to see how the coaches choose and how it becomes a kind of chess match over which players you choose to play in that game. Because if they can't play in all 18.
Mm-hmm. Well, to answer the question, because I didn't get to this part yet, but I think it would be interesting. I'm all for more like real football where like teams actually try. What was it? The Arena Football League in 2012 through 2015, I believe, or 2017, they had an 18-game schedule as well, not too long ago. So, I mean, obviously, everyone loves watching more football, like regular season football. People don't really like watching the preseason game. They might as well just scrap the whole preseason and just keep the Hall of Fame game, because obviously they don't want that stadium to go to a waste. But also a fun fact about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that whole stadium, how they basically built like a whole village. The guy that's the head of the Pro Football Hall of Fame was also the former Arena Football League commissioner, David Baker, who helped break through the AFL in the early 2000s. So it's interesting. But yeah, what do you guys think? I mean,
I don't really see much like negative to it. It doesn't seem exactly necessary, but I think it would be kind of cool to see that, have them decide like which players to play in which games. And I'm curious how they would do it, if it would be something like they have to put out and choose a roster before the game, and like certain players wouldn't be allowed to play in those games, or it would be like if they have to put them in the second quarter or something, then that would count as one of the games. But I just think it would be really interesting. Also, for other teams, it would give them, again, like 2 more games worth of chances to maybe get like just into the playoffs. I think it would be interesting to watch, and we'll see if they decide that or not.
I kind of disagree with all three of you. I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I also think the preseason system is broke. But there still needs to be some semblance of it, because the third game is the most important for players who are on the cusp of maybe getting cut off that roster. So I think if you brought it from 4 to 3, that way if you're in the Hall of Fame game, you play 4 preseason games max. I think that works. Even down to 2 is fine. But I think the preseason really helps prep, who's going to start, who's going to be backup and whatnot. So it's still important. We just don't need as much of it. And then as far as the season goes, I mean, it kind of reminds me of the NBA, how sometimes you'll go to a game and your favorite player, like, say LeBron James, he isn't playing this game, and it's like, well, you bought the tickets, but you don't know if they're going to play. 16 games, every game's important up until week 16 or 17. And that's most of the season at that point. So for the player safety too, I don't think an 18-game season is necessary. Like I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think definitely fix the preseason. I think bring it down 3, even 2 games. I personally like watching the preseason, but that's because I like football in general. So I'll watch whatever's on.
Yeah, but 4 weeks
It's currently the CFL, but but like I said, ain't broke, don't fix it. Stick to 16.
I agree with Nicole here, and I also like the preseason a lot. My team is currently, I think, undefeated in the preseason over the last 2 years. Ravens.
Yeah, so are the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I mean, but
wait. Just because you said that, can I bring up something real quick?
Yes.
Year, because I remember this, because my second team is the Detroit Lions. I just want to bring that up because so they're technically my second team, but I don't care about them as much. Anyway,
no one does.
They went 4-0 in preseason. The year they went 0-16.
Yep.
I just want to bring that up. Go on.
I've actually looked up the facts of the teams that went 4-0 and how they did in the year. It has absolutely no bearing.
Mm-hmm.
Some teams are just good in the preseason. They're very deep. The Ravens are one of those.
In the preseason?
Yeah, a lot of people were. I feel like the third game is actually one of the most important games. But if you look at the history, a lot of teams that lost their third game ended up going to win the Super Bowl. So really, who knows? But yeah, again, I want to make sure that, well, I did say it would be fun to see an 18-game season. I don't think it's fair to do the players. They already have enough problems as it is as far as their health. And yeah, that would kind of also diminish the importance of each game a little bit. And then when you go into the playoffs, if you're doing a deep Super Bowl run, that'll begin a 22-game season, which is absolutely grueling on your body. And so I feel like, yeah, the NFL, I like that they moved it from 14 to 16 a while ago, but I feel like 16 is a good number. I feel like the players would be very unhappy, and therefore the fans would be unhappy.
Yeah, if you include the postseason all the way up until the Super Bowl with an 18-game season, of course, -2. So technically, players are playing in 20 games a season, which is only one more game, but that's a lot. I'm with Henry. No more needs to be said.
All right. Now, Parker, why don't you lead us off with our final, I guess, on rapid fire. We started off with a time limit. Now, I guess not so much anymore.
Yeah.
But Parker, go ahead.
Yeah, so recent news shows that Peyton Manning has turned down an NFL broadcasting job with Monday Night Football. One second. I got closed out real quick. Yeah, he rejected an offer to Monday Night Football again for the 4th straight year. So coming off of this, who do you guys think could be the best NFL commentator who was a former player in the NFL?
Or current.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think everyone loves him.
That's all we need to know. No, I'm just kidding.
His Detroit Lions call, kickers matter, everything about that. But I'm going to go with Tony Romo. I really like his analysis. I feel like Peyton Manning would be a little bit bland unless you get him and, oh my God, I'm totally blanking out on the person he has in those nationwide commercials. I feel like they would have a good banter together.
Country singer.
Yeah.
Singer.
I feel like they would have a good banter together. But yeah, I'm going to definitely go with Tony Romo. The insight he has into the game, the way he calls these predictions, it's not because he can see the future, although you might think that. It's just because he has such an understanding of the game. Truly one of the most brilliant minds. And I feel like if you had Tom Brady, it would be the similar thing where he's just so smart. He could just see so much. I feel like players like that, Ed Reed, would have an absolutely amazing run on commentary. And Tony Romo, not only that, he has a brilliant voice. He's funny, and he has those lifeful eyes, you know? So, I don't know.
I'm going to go with two, 3-ish answers here because I'm with Henry. Tony Romo is awesome. I feel like towards the year he called the Super Bowl, they toned him down a little bit, but I'm glad that they let him kind of come back out and make these calls that he does because I mean it's just so much fun to watch and then he's right and it's just so much fun to watch. He makes football so fun. But my second / third-ish answer is what Caleb said, Pat McAfee. I love the guy. He's so brilliant. Yes, he cusses a lot, but he's the whole punters matter. If you don't follow him on Twitter, you should, or his podcast. He's really great. He was really made for this, and I'm glad he's found this. My third answer is get my guy Spice Adams up in there. Former Chicago Bears defensive end. He's like a Twitter personality now, and most people don't even know he played football. And he's so funny. I think he'd not only have good insight, but he'd kind of be on the level that Pat McAfee is of just the humor he would bring to it. He would be a guy that makes it so much more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I when it comes to the best commentator, like overall, although actually this guy wasn't a player though, he was a coach. Everyone knows John Madden was one of the best color commentators of all time. Unfortunately, though, he was not a player; he was a coach. And what was it? Another great guy I'd love to see as a commentator, but also probably wasn't a player. Love to see his commentary. Mike Ditka.
Mike Ditka was definitely a player.
He was a player.
He was a tight end for the Chicago Bears.
Him as a color commentator for
everyone forgets this.
I didn't.
Thank you.
It's great. Also, a bunch of great guys. Troy Aikman is up there. Mike Ditka would be my pick, though, for sure. I would love to see Mike Ditka do one Super Bowl color commentating on Fox, NBC, or CBS.
My only role with Mike Ditka commentating is that he also has to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" and "America the Beautiful." That's my only rules of Mike Ditka. Obviously, I got Nicole laughing. I don't know if you guys have seen it. He's known for doing one of the worst renditions of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" ever. It was the most Chicago thing to ever Chicago.
It was beautiful. It was
Oh yeah, I
absolutely
hope you
beautiful.
put a link to this because it was just beautiful. Like,
if we're gonna do that, we might as well just set up a Ben Simmons 3-point contest while we're at it because
yes.
Bring my guy Spice Adams in for that too.
Oh yeah, he's a great shooter. If you guys haven't seen him.
If you haven't seen that video, then you're not on Twitter, and you're starting too late. So
that I think. Do you guys have any closing comments? Because we're nearing that time where it's time to go. So any final comments for you guys?
I mean, if you missed it yesterday, I mean, July really is such a great month for sports. Wimbledon, World Cup. I just wanted to bring up Wimbledon real quick. Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic lost in a marathon match, nearly 5 hours. Federer had 2 to 3 chances to pull it off to end it, didn't do it, and Djokovic got his 5th Wimbledon title, which is tied for 4th most all time, I believe. I mean, if most people were pulling for Federer, so this hurts, but he said he's 37 and he ain't done yet. So I'm hoping he gets back soon. But another great Wimbledon tournament, and Coco Gauff obviously being one of the highlights of such tournament.
Any comments, Parker? Final closing thoughts?
Not much. I just hope that the Suns are able to put together a championship season with their MVP Aaron Baines. That's all I have to say.
And Caleb, final comments for you.
Well, we have a little bit of breaking news. Ben Simmons has agreed to a 5-year,
$170 million contract. Yeah, that was announced, I think it was 2 hours ago?
Roughly.
Oh, and something else. The Rockies scored. It's 16-1.
Yes! All right. On that note, coming from Caleb Bouchy, Nicole Pinter, and Parker Gray, I'm Henry Steiner. Everyone remember, keep your kids on a leash, clean up their food. Have a great day.